Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts of Iron, where it has been a little while. But we've done a little bit of start scouting in the stream that went up yesterday, and that of course means that we have a bit of a plan here. So let's hop into single player. As you can see, we were previously playing as Australia, and that is indeed the plan here. So we're going to do a new game in the very beginning here. And we are going to play as, well, I'll just do select country. It's a little easier that way, in my opinion. We're going to be playing as Australia. We are not going to be playing on historical AI focuses. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on this. Now, we're starting in 1936 as a democratic nation. So you know what that means. It's going to be a bit before anything happens. That's right. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be a thing. First things first, we're going to need to get some research going. I usually really like to start with getting more research speed. Okay, so we'll grab that, and as our secondary, we're going to go for Construction 1. We're going to have a lot of time here, and we're going to need to work on building our economy. Now, to that end, we can go into our national focus here, and there's a particular route that I'd like to go if we can end up going that way, and that is the Southwest Pacific Initiative down this way. That would be the best way to go, in my opinion. But this is going to be something that we'll do a little bit later on. Ultimately, we'd like to protect the Dutch colonies. We'll see if the Netherlands ends up falling to Germany. We're not on historical AI focus, so it's hard to say. Otherwise, I would often consider going for establishing the Advisory War Council to get the research slots that are available here. Unfortunately, that requires more than 20% world tension or to be at war, so we can't do that right off the bat. Other things that we could do include expanding our shipyards, which, given that we're an island nation, is not a terrible idea. Or we could work our way down this direction and work on some economy, and that's what we'll do to begin with. I think we'll get some shipyards eventually, but we'll get the standard gauge railway for now, and that'll be fine. Now, we have free military factories. We should definitely be working on getting some support equipment. The question is, what do we have right now in our starting infantry division? Just a bunch of infantry. Okay. We're going to have to set up a better infantry division than this for sure, but for now, that's not really an option. So that's okay. Infantry division, for the moment, is reasonably fine. We're going to select all of these units, which I believe should be 7. Yes. And we'll put them in a new army, and we're simply going to have them exercise for the moment. Nothing else. Just exercise. We have no divisions in basic training, and we are going to train an infantry division. Let's see. I'm just checking. We have a couple of cavalry divisions as is. We should probably also, ideally, we'd want to train 2 infantry divisions and an armored division. We don't really have any way to make tanks at this point, so we're going to back off on that, and we don't really have the manpower to train more than 1 division simultaneously. So for the moment, that's what we'll do, and that's fine. We are producing equipment we have no division template for. Presumably that's for the support equipment. That will become necessary later on, so that's fine. We are going to primarily be working on our rifles, though. So that's good. Okay, as far as our dockyards go, I do want to be building some convoys. We'll have 1 dockyard devoted to that for the moment. And then I also want to make ourselves possibly some early cruisers. Let's see, I'm just checking the stats here. I think the early cruisers are probably better here. Yeah. Okay, so we'll make some of those. Cool. That's going to take a very long time to make. That's not shocking. We'll bump that up to 5. We're not going to build additional dockyards for the moment. So, what are we going to build? Well, we can hop into our construction and take a look at our railway system. It's not the finest. I wouldn't mind having a connection like that. A connection like that. Okay. So that's going to take a little while. That's understood. That's fine. That connection would be a decent one. And I would also like... I don't know about priority on that one. I would also like to get civilian factories building as quickly as we can so that we can build other things. So we can build a few civilian factories up over here. And we'll probably decrease priority on this railroad. That's probably not hugely necessary. Ultimately, infrastructure is giving us primarily fuel capacity here. It will give us a little bit of steel and tungsten, but like down here, it gives us basically nothing. This gives us a bit of tungsten. That gives us quite a lot of steel. So that's actually pretty important. We'll get that done first. Okay. The rest of these I'm not too concerned about. We'll queue them up, but they will be low priority at best. This is all within our overlord, Great Britain, so that's fine. Okay. So that's all well and good. We are currently a little bit negative on aluminum. What are we actually consuming aluminum on? No, seriously, what are we actually consuming aluminum on? Oh, it's support equipment. Right. Well, for the moment, if we're not actually going to have anything here, this is fine. We may want to cancel this production line temporarily and toss it in up here instead. Okay. So something kind of like that. We're going to get bauxite deposits in Tasmania eventually. I believe we need excavation 3 for that. Yes. Cool. So that's fine. We will go ahead and tick on forward here. I'm going to tick forward just at speed 4 for the moment. Like I said, there's not going to be a whole lot going on for us in this early game. So we'll stick on speed 4 for just now. I don't really want to stick on speed 5, but it just feels uncontrollable and like things can slip away from us. That's right. I knew I was forgetting something. Civilian trains. Okay. There we go. Fantastic. Now, eventually we're going to get some officer corps. And our manpower is growing reasonably, actually. 2.19k per month. That's substantially higher than I thought it would be. Okay. That's interesting. Well, we do need to work our way to citizen military forces if we want to improve our manpower. So that will require a fair amount of world tension. No doubt about that. Okay. So we are busily working our way through. At this point, our focus is going to be by far the most impactful. So we're going to make our way down this way, and then we're going to head down this direction here because Allied Works Council, while it's very strong, requires Civil Construction Corps, which requires National Security Act, which requires 20% world tension or that we're at war. So that would be great to be able to do some of this. This one's maybe less great. And this requires Australia to be fully independent, which we will be, eventually. It also requires us to be at war. Okay. Just checking that. That's fine. We are eventually going to want to head down here, expanding the RAAF and our military training as well. All of that will be important, but we've got a lot of things that we can work on here. So that'll be great. Requires join Comintern. Yeah, we're not going to be joining the Comintern here. We're going to be remaining democratic. We're going to be trying to set up like a Pacific alliance and opposing Japan is our goal here. So that'll be fine. And we're going to have to improve our power levels pretty dramatically. Before we do that, we need to improve our economy. This is grim, shall we say. So we're going to need to work on that. That's going to be very, very important. Our standard gauge railway will be done soon. Railway construction speed will be coming up. That's good. And you can see here we have 200 out of 1,000 points until we become free. Well, we don't really care about that, because we can just go free almost any time we want by taking sever ties with the UK. So, that is something that we can always do. Now, we would leave the Allies if we did that. We may be able to get re-invited back in, depending on how salty the UK is feeling about it. We'll see how that goes. But for now, this will be reasonably fine. Hey look, UK has troops over here. Hi, UK. We're not too concerned about that for now. What we need more than anything is to finish up standard gauge railway, and we should be finishing up some technologies relatively shortly after that as well. So like I said, it's going to be a slow start, as it often is with a 1936 start in Hearts of Iron playing as a democracy. There's just not a lot that you can do before the world tension starts to ramp up. And we technically don't know that the world tension is going to ramp up. Japan and Germany might not go world tension-y routes, in which case we'd want to do that ourselves. Now, we can eventually start working on some non-aligned locations. Like the Dutch East Indies, actually. That might be an interesting backup play. Now, we can't do this right now. We need world tension to be very high, but that's okay. One thing I definitely do want to do is get some officer corps going here. We need to let our command power tick up for the moment. So that is of vital importance. We should add a military high command and a chief of army at some point. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is between the two. I think it's just different slots for different types of people. Yeah. So we probably want to go for like Arthur Allen for our first infantry slot here. That army experience gain is very high, and I probably want to have one from each branch in each high command here. Oh boy. Here we go. The German Reich declared war on the German Empire. They're doing it. So they actually did this the first time we ran this in our scout starting as well. We did ahistorical focuses, and they went down the oppose Hitler path, which is, if we go in here, it is, no, that's the German Reich. I think the German military junta is the one that remains. Yes. Okay. So they oppose Hitler, and they are going to go down into secure the new state and try to bring back the Kaiser. So that's going to be interesting. Germany is going to be a little better behaved than usual. So that could be awkward for us, but we'll see what Japan does. Standard gauge railway has finished up, and we are next going to go with... We're going to go with the Industries Assistance Corporation. There we go. We'll get that done. And at this point, we can modify our government, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Germany is now embroiled in the Civil War. Previously, when we ran this test, the German military junta won this. We'll see what happens. Turkey has remilitarized the Straits. Okay, that's pretty normal. Or at least that's what happened last time we ran with ahistorical focuses. Things could go completely off the rails, or they could go largely the same. Last time there was just civil wars everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. This time, I don't know. We'll see how things go. We're not planning to have a civil war, for the record. So that'll be fine. We are busily recruiting 2 divisions. I only wanted 1 division. Okay, so we're going to set this location. I think I previously messed that up. There we go. Cool. And we're banking manpower for the moment. Okay, yeah, this manpower growth is more like what I expected. Excellent. So that's fine. That is absolutely fine. We're not going to reorganize the railway system for now. Honestly, I think that our default railways aren't that bad. Is there no railway map mode over here? That's a little awkward. We could definitely grab ourselves mechanical computing, and we will do so for that sweet, sweet additional 4% research speed. Cool. Okay, so apparently there's no railway map mode, but maybe it's in, like, the supply map mode. Yeah, this is fundamentally the same thing. Okay, so this is reasonably fine for now. We'll reevaluate whether we want to build this stretch of railroad after we grab this focus here. I can't remember what that actually does. I don't think I actually checked that previously. So that would be a potentially slight concern. But we'll look into that. For the time being, our construction is incredibly slow. There's no doubt about that one. We can also eventually work on, like, coastal forts and anti-air and things like that. For now, I'm not too concerned about that. We'll have plenty of construction time in theory, and that should be fine. So our officer corps at this point, we definitely want to get this guy. He costs 100 more political power. But look at all that army experience gain. I wouldn't mind getting the air and navy experience either. We are getting army experience right now via drilling, a small amount. So maybe we should go for, like... Is this guy the only... Yeah, this is the only naval guy right now. Okay, let's go for this guy, and we'll start racking up some naval experience. Okay. So that'll be fine. We will continue to gain command power here, as well as political power. That's okay. No real problems here right now. We don't need to commandeer civilian trains for the moment. There's not a lot that we need to do, in fact. We can check in on Germany. Okay, so the junta won over here. That happened previously. And then last time I tried this, the junta managed to push in this direction and push this line. Oh, okay. Japanese Young Officer Corps. They reinstated the emperor as the supreme ruler. Interesting. Made clear overtures of reconciliation with China. This could be a very slow game. We'll see. So previously, the military junta managed to push this line to here and cut this off. It looks like they're making that same move here. Yeah, so they cut this off, they isolate this pocket around Munich, and from there it's pretty over for the Reich. And yes, that is exactly what they're doing here. Okay, so this is playing out the way it did previously. We'll see if the Spanish Civil War does as well, but then things are going to go really off the rails from there. Really, really off the rails. We don't really know what Britain's doing right now. The Shadow Scheme. Where even is this? Here. Okay. Okay, they're working on their economy. Sounds good. Sounds good. We also always have the Soviet Union to potentially drive world tension. We'll see what happens, but this might be a slow start. Well, it's guaranteed to be a slow start either way, actually. It's definitely going to be a slow start. We already knew that from being in 1936 as a democracy. That was guaranteed. So we're going to finish up the Industries Assistance Corporation soon. Here in another 10 days. Well, 11 days. And we're going to have an election in, like, September of next year. That's a long ways out. I'm not too concerned about that at all. So that'll be fine. If we look in our officer corps, the Theorist. Okay. Interesting. I just wanted to see what they actually did. I'm still not super used to the latest DLC. It's added a lot of depth to the game. They actually haven't managed to cut this off yet. But this is very dangerous for the Reich. So we'll see what happens here. Industries Assistance Corporation. Cool. So at this point, we are going to grab the Western Australian Government Railways, I think. That'll give us that level 1 railway and allow us to start getting these civilian factories here, as well as a few extra military factories. It's this one that's super powerful, though, and we'll need the Advisory War Council for that. But for the time being, we will continue to work down our economy tab, or rather our economy tree here, and that'll be just fine. And yes, our manpower is kind of grim. So this is definitely playing slightly differently, but the junta is definitely on top here. I think there's no doubt about that. The junta is winning this civil war. And that's fine. They're just going to get Kaiser Wilhelm back, and good for them. That'll keep Europe a lot more stable, that's for sure. Italy is still fighting Ethiopia. They're going to be done with that soon. In fact, that should be a capitulation there, I think. Yes. There we go. Ethiopia has capitulated, and that's fine. So that puts us at 4% world tension. Okay. So there are ways that we can work up world tension, but it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure exactly how we'll work that up, but that will need to happen. For now, I'm completely content working on our economy. This is very, very necessary, and we really do need to work on it. Construction 1 is going to be done in 33 days, which will be a pretty big deal for us. And our focus will be done soon enough, but I'm actually going to go up to speed 5, because we have a whole lot of nothing that we're doing at this moment. We're mostly just waiting, but it is still important that we start in 36 so we can start building our economy. That is absolutely vital here. So we're going to go up to speed 5, and we're just going to cruise through this as quickly as we can, gathering primarily focuses at this point. So that'll be great. The war support is not very high. We can modify our officer corps at this point, but we are lacking political power. Okay, we could now grab air combat training to gain some air experience, which we will do. Cool. So there's that. We don't know what Japan is up to at the moment, but we'll see. Hopefully Japan starts doing some nonsense with China over there. But at this point, I would argue that the junta has won. This is pretty over for Berlin. So that's not going to go well for them. I do want to grab... Excavation is good. Production efficiency is always good too. That allows us to get concentrated industry eventually. So we're going to grab basic machine tools for the moment. I'm not too concerned about doing military research right now because we're probably not going to get pulled into the war for several years yet. At least. So that'll be good. As far as an end point for this particular series goes, we do have a way to get into a war with Japan. So that's interesting. We have a way to get into a war with Japan, no matter what. Okay, yes, this finishes up the renewal of the Rome Protocols, huh? So, it may be an official alliance aimed at counteracting the growing revisionist and expansionist tendencies of Germany. Well, Germany is not going well for certain members of the Third Reich. So we're going to go ahead and grab ourselves some civilian factories here, and that alliance may not end up being necessary, because it sure looks to me like August von Mackensen here, he appears to be winning. In fact, he's definitely winning. The junta is going to take that over, and we're bringing back the German Empire. So, okay, that is one way to do that. As far as this construction goes, it's not great, but we are going to get 2 additional civilian factories, which will actually increase our construction speed here by 50%. Just by completing that focus, that'll be a 50% boost. That's kind of huge. So we'll get that, and then we'll get a couple of military factories here. A level 2 railway in the northern territory, but I do want to take a look at our current railways down here. Okay, so currently this proposed railway is still necessary. That may not be the case eventually, but there's basic machine tools finishing up. So that would allow us to go for Concentrated Industry 1, and I think being Australia, concentrated makes more sense than dispersed. So we'll probably end up going for that. Excavation is maybe an okay idea. Well, it's definitely a good idea, but the question is, at this point, one of order, right? Eventually we're going to get all this, but I think we'll go for Concentrated Industry first, for that sweet, sweet max factories in a state, plus the factory output isn't bad either. So we'll go ahead and do that, and that will be fine. And with that, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we are going to see if anybody decides to drive up the world tension at all. That's going to be interesting. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, JJ Gamer, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.